let's go ahead and go into the first topic, leaders and their ability to build a team, right? During your talks and interviews, you mentioned our parents, teachers, and leaders, in this case, employers, managers, right? Uh, Tend to find our weaknesses and tell us to fix them, right? Otherwise, we're not going to be successful. No. So, for example, and I was thinking about this interview. We went over your book with my kids. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old boy. And last week we were driving to the mall. We live in a rural area. We have many parks. We have a lake. We have a splash park. So we don't really have to go to the city that much. But in this case, we went. And my son was like, "Hey, are we there yet?" And I was like, "You know what? We're almost there. The building, you see that building right there? It's right behind the building." And he was like, "Oh no." And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "There's traffic." Right? So we were almost there, but he was like focusing on the bad stuff, right? It's so, and he's only 7 years old. So, I mean, is that something natural for managers to focus on the bad things the team members and all that? I don't know if you want to just talk about that.
Yeah, it's natural for everybody. It's called negativity bias, and we tend to see what's wrong instead of what's right in any situation, even if what's wrong is really, really small and what's right is really, really big. So yeah, if your kids get all good grades in school and they get one bad grade, you're going to focus on that class. You're going to talk to that teacher. You're going to work with them on the homework. You're going to give them some tutoring. You're going to send them to some program to help them with that. And you're going to stop focusing on all those classes they're good at, all of those classes that they're doing well in and probably enjoy. And so we tend to have that deficit mentality. We do that with our businesses as well. We focus on what's wrong instead of what's right. There's actually a concept called appreciative inquiry where you come into your business and instead of trying to fix the problems, you ask, where do we want to go? What do we want to achieve? And what's currently working? What do we like? Why are our employees happy? Well, some of our employees leave. Okay. Talk to the people who are there. Why are they staying? That sometimes we're not seeing the whole picture. We're only seeing the negative side because we're getting trapped in that negativity bias and we don't realize it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's so, do you think that's where coaching, because I know you have a lot of experience in the business industry. You think coaching, being a coach also helps with that? Because, what I did, because I had your information fresh in my mind, like I said, we went over your book and also the video on YouTube. I was like, well, you're pretty good at paying attention to detail. You're looking at all the cars. Tell me more about the cars. What cars do you have here and there? But again, I had that tool, which is your book. I had the training, right? I had it. It was fresh in my mind. Is that similar to what we should do in business with our team?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's a small thing, but this isn't rose-colored glasses or being optimistic or not acknowledging reality. I mean, someone who looks ahead and sees traffic is a person who looks ahead and sees potential challenges, sees potential obstacles. And isn't it good to have someone in our business who's looking forward and seeing potential problems? So instead of calling them negative, or instead of being critical about them, you go, oh, it's great. I'm glad we have somebody on the team who's looking forward to challenges. It doesn't mean that you allow that to stop you from going forward, but it also means you don't need to tell them to focus on the positive or don't worry about it or be more optimistic. You can say, perfect. It's good to have somebody on the team who has that perspective. And I want to know that we have someone like that and that person's going to help us to avoid danger. And what a good asset to the team instead of, oh, well, don't be so anxious and why can't you just relax and don't worry about it. It'll be over soon. Look for the strength that's hiding inside the weakness because it's always there, right? It's always there.
And is this part of the amplification that you talk about, the new project? It's part of amplifying those kinds of things?
Yeah, amplify comes from one of the steps of the freak factor, which is amplifying. So most of the time people want us to moderate, reduce, or eliminate our unique qualities, our defining features. So to your son, instead of saying, oh my goodness, okay, you're good at looking forward, seeing obstacles, and you're maybe a little bit impatient to get those results and to get where you want to go. Awesome. That's initiative. That's foresight. That's vision. So not only do I not want you to moderate, reduce, or eliminate those things, I want to actually create opportunities for you to do more of those things. What are environments where your son can have the opportunity to actually be more of what most people would be challenging him to be less of? So a simple example is when we tell kids they're hyperactive, which would happen to me. No sports coach at a school has ever sent a kid home from practice and they're like, oh my gosh, your kid was just running and running and running and just had too much energy and you need to calm them down. In that environment, they're getting rewarded for extra energy and activity, whereas in most of life, they're being punished for extra activity and extra energy. So yes, instead of, it's the complete opposite. Most development and coaching and all those kinds of things focuses on moderating, reducing, and eliminating things we see as negative qualities of people. What I'm talking about is seeing the other side. There's an upside to energy. There's an upside to activity, for example. There's an upside to seeing obstacles. There's an upside to initiative or being impatient. There's an upside to wanting to get there and experience something. And so find the upside and then amplify it instead of that urge we have to try to moderate it, reduce, or eliminate it.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but for the benefit of our audience, when they do that,